Before the creation of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, Nigeria, the most populous black nation on earth, was confronted with the twin problem of poor global image and the dwindling economic fortunes due to the activities of advanced fee fraudsters, also known as 419ers, and corruption in the public and private sectors. Hello and welcome to the program, The Eagle. My name is Aisha Mohammed. On the program today, we represent to you a special documentary that chronicles efforts made by the EFCC in combating the menace of corruption in Nigeria. Please stay tuned as Aisha Gambari will be our guide right after this timeout.
Before the creation of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, Nigeria, the most populous black nation on earth, was confronted with the twin problem of poor global image and dwindling economic fortunes due to the activities of advanced fee fraudsters, also known as 419, and corruption in the public and private sectors. Foreign direct investment came in trickles, and domestic businesses struggled to get by, while the nation's infrastructure was in severe state of decay. The EFCC was therefore created as an instrument of reform to help restore confidence in the nation's economy by instilling corporate responsibility through the enforcement of all extant laws on economic and financial crimes. Since its creation in 2003, the Commission has successfully carried out this mandate with several milestones recorded, including the delisting of Nigeria from the list of non-cooperative countries and territories (NCCT) by the Financial Action Task Force in June 2006. Due to its unrelenting efforts in the war against graft, the EFCC has become a reference point among law enforcement agencies both home and abroad. Ibrahim Mustafa Magu, a commissioner of police, became the acting chairman of the EFCC on November 11, 2015, after taking over the arms of affairs from Ibrahim Lamurde. Magu is one of the founding staff of the EFCC, who served as the head of the Economic Governance Unit during the tenure of Nuhu Ribadu, the pioneer chairman of the EFCC. Since Magu assumed office as the acting chairman, he has been unwavering in his commitment to change the narrative as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. His first challenge on taking the reins of affairs was to address the dwindling fortunes of the Commission by initiating reforms that has ushered in a radically improved work ethics within the Commission. Convinced that an organization perceived to be corrupt cannot fight corruption, integrity issues were addressed by ensuring that round pegs were placed in round holes in terms of postings to sensitive operations position. To ensure that only the best are offered employment into the Commission, the recruitment processes were also reviewed. Several measures including aptitude tests, interviews, polygraph examinations, and vetting of candidate certificates and background were introduced amongst others. New cadet intakes employed by the Commission are thereafter sent to the Nigeria Defense Academy in Kaduna for rigorous law enforcement training. Fully conscious of the growing sophistication of economic crimes and corruption, an inventory of the existing operations architecture was taken, which resulted in the creation of new units to address emerging challenges in criminality. New zonal offices were also created in Ibadan, Kaduna, Benin, and Iyo, while the Maiduguri office was reopened to improve accessibility of the public to the Commission. The EFCC new head office complex, whose construction was abandoned due to lack of funds, was also given priority. Upon his assumption of office, all avenues were employed to raise funds for the completion of the projects. With the support of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and the 8th National Assembly, Julius Berger, the construction company handling the project, returned to site, and the building has now been completed. In the area of operations, the Commission sent a forceful message that impunity will no longer be condoned by taking on the high and mighty in the society. One of the flanks of war being waged by the Ibrahim Magu-led EFCC is leading an investigation into the arms procurement deal saga, allegedly involving top serving and retired military generals and political leaders. For the very first time in the history of Nigeria, senior military officers, including former service chiefs, a number of serving and retired generals, their civilian counterparts, former ministers, governors, and several politicians were investigated and arraigned for allegedly diverting over $15 billion meant for the procurement of arms to combat Boko Haram insurgency in northeast Nigeria. Also arrested and arraigned was Colonel Sambo Dasuki, a former security advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan. While the alleged free stealing and sharing lasted, hundreds of soldiers were dying on the battlefield. Thousands of innocent lives lost. Women were raped and abducted. Children were rendered orphans, and properties and houses worth billions of naira were destroyed. The 2 million displaced people in camps across the country, while being thankful for their lives, contend with the harsh realities of survival. In many other parts of the country, compatriots continue to live in fear, grief, pains, and sorrow. As the sufferings continued, a few individuals far away in the big cities wined and dined on what is now being called blood money. Investigations by the EFCC revealed that, for instance, in a single stream of transaction, the sum of $2.1 billion moved through the office of a one-time national security advisor to those of several individuals for fictitious services that were never rendered. The money allegedly found its ways into huge private estates of certain individuals, and they acquired properties worth billions of naira across the country, even as some allegedly stock millions of dollars in their wardrobes.
How much do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it is estimated to be
$50,000.
Yes, 10,000 per bunch. 50, 100, 150, 100, 250, 350, 400, 450, 500, 550, 600, 650, 700, 750, 800,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 500, 1 million.
As an agency determined to ensure that corrupt elements are denied access to the proceeds of their crime, the EFCC, in a calculated raid, combed every nook and cranny of the country to confiscate assets traced to the missing funds. In Abuja, Nigeria, for example, several properties worth over 10 billion naira traced to the retired and serving generals allegedly involved in the arms deal were marked and confiscated by the EFCC. And in high-brow areas in Lagos, Nigeria, the EFCC also traced and confiscated a number of choiced properties linked to the culprits of the arms scandal. Apart from the arms deal fraud, the Commission moved into the oil industry. The country's oil subsidy regime, which was characterized by massive corruption, was investigated, and many corrupt oil marketers were arrested and arraigned. The subsidy fraud, which was perpetrated in connivance with government officials, drained the country's treasury of billions of naira, allegedly claimed by criminals for petroleum products that were never supplied. The EFCC recorded a major milestone in the prosecution of these defaulters with the conviction of the trial of Walter Wagbasoma, Chairman, Ontario Oil and Gas Limited, Ada Ugo Ngadi, Managing Director of the company, and Jibril Rowaye, Managing Director, Brila Energy Limited, to 10 years imprisonment. But perhaps the most audacious oil sector investigation is the one involving a former Petroleum Resources Minister, Desiani Alice Madueke, and her cronies over various improprieties running into several millions of dollars. In the course of the investigation, operatives of the EFCC recovered cash and jewelries worth millions of dollars from her Abuja home. Other properties worth over $50 million linked to Desiani across Nigeria have now been forfeited to the federal government. While these revelations rankle, most Nigerians were also shocked to learn about how the country's patrimony was frittered in bribes for vote schemes in the 2015 general election. The investigation, which is still ongoing, has witnessed the interrogation and prosecution of a number of politicians, former federal ministers, and INEC officials, amongst others. Investigations by the EFCC into the public service system also revealed that Nigeria lost billions of naira to the ghost worker syndrome, a corrupt practice that injected thousands of non-existing workers into the government payroll system. The syndicate behind this monumental fraud was busted, which led to the government saving over 200 billion naira as nearly 50,000 ghost workers were removed from government payroll system. Still in the efforts to check leakages, the federal government, in a directive issued in 2015, called for the reinforcement of the Treasury Single Account (TSA). The directive ordered all ministries, departments, and agencies of government to commence payment of all government revenues into the TSA accounts. The EFCC again keyed into this pronouncement. Operatives of the Commission, in a swift investigation, discovered over 100 billion naira hidden away by defaulting agencies. This calculated move now saves the government over 24 billion naira monthly. The Commission's investigation activities received a further boost with the coming into force of the federal government's whistleblower policy. The policy, which was initiated in December 2016, is primarily to support the fight against financial crimes and corruption by increasing exposure of financial crimes and rewarding whistleblowers. The EFCC quickly created reporting portals via its social media platforms at Official EFCC and through dedicated phone lines. The very first call which came through led to the discovery of $9.8 million hidden in the slums of Sabon Tasha, Kaduna State. The money is said to belong to Dr. Andrew Yakubu, a former Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. The funds are under an interim forfeiture order, even as Yakubu challenged the court order. Still in Kaduna, following a tip-off, the EFCC also intercepted the sum of about 250 million naira in sacks at the Kaduna International Airport after the bags were sighted unattended to. In Lagos, another tip from a whistleblower led to the interception of 250 million naira in various currencies at a popular textile market in the city. And in the shopping plaza located in the highbrow area of Victoria Island, also in Lagos, the sum of about 500 million naira was also uncovered. The most unbelievable discovery was, however, that of Asban Towers, also in Ikoyi, Lagos, where a whopping cache of over 13 billion naira in local and foreign currencies were discovered in an apartment on the 7th floor of the towers. These funds have now been forfeited to the federal government. In addition to cash and properties, the EFCC Eagle Eyes also cited and recovered several vehicles suspected to be proceeds of crime. Amongst them are 17 vehicles linked to a former Comptroller General of Customs, Abdullah Idiko Inde. The EFCC also waged into the over 20 billion naira pension scam. Several individuals alleged to have stolen pension funds and laundered them were arrested and are currently facing charges. Notably amongst them is Sani Shoaibu Tedi, a former Director of Pension Accounts, Office of the Heads of Civil Service of the Federation, and the suspended Director General of the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, PTAD, Nelly Meshak. Serving judges and very senior lawyers are equally standing trial for corruption. They include Justice Rita Ajumagobia and Justice Nwali S. Nguta, amongst others. Also being prosecuted are senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, including Ricky Tafa and Joseph Nwobike, amongst others. Joseph Nwobike has, however, been convicted to 12 months imprisonment for perversion of justice. Serving and former heads of government agencies also felt the EFCC squeeze. Patrick Akpobolokemi, a former Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, and 8 others are being prosecuted on a 40 counts charge bordering on money laundering and stealing. Others are Abba Moru, former Minister of Interior, and Steve Orosai, former heads of service, who are also standing trial for offences ranging from recruitment and pension fraud. Former state governors are also being prosecuted for various offences. They include Joshua Dariye, former governor of Plateau State, Jolly Inyame, former governor of Taraba State, Oji Uzo Kalu, former governor of Abia State, and Ikedi Oakim, former governor of Imo State. Others are Alao Akala, former governor of Oyo State, Murtala Inyaku, former governor of Adamawa State, alongside his son Abdulaziz Inyaku, Ibrahim Shema, former governor of Katsina State, Sele Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State, and his sons Aminu and Mustafa, and their Benue State counterpart Gabriel Suswan and his finance commissioner Omodachi Okolobia. In terms of convictions, the EFCC recorded about 500 convictions from 2015, when the present administration came on board, to May 2018. Those convicted include a former governor of Adamawa State, Bala Ingelari, to 5 years in jail for procurement fraud, though later upturned by the appeal court, but the EFCC has since filed an appeal against the ruling. A former local government chairman in Kogi State, Gabriel Daudu, was sentenced to 5 years in jail for money laundering, and 3 oil marketers, Walter Wagbasona, Ada Ugo Ngadi, and Jibril Rawaye, alongside their companies, were also sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for oil subsidy fraud. Other notable convictions include that of Accountant General of Kebbi State, Mohammed Arzika Akengari, who bagged 70 years imprisonment for his involvement in over 1 billion naira fraud. An undergraduate of Kuala Lumpur Metropolitan University, Malaysia, Hope Olusegun Aroke, was sentenced to 24 years imprisonment for his involvement in internet fraud. The commission also secured an extradition order from Justice Abdul Kafarati of the Federal High Court in Abuja for the extradition of Franca Asemota, a Nigerian fugitive, to the United Kingdom for offences bordering on trafficking of minors, and 9 foreigners alongside their visa, MT Asterix, to 5 years imprisonment for illegal oil bunkering. This is just to mention a few. In the area of international collaborations, the EFCC has also been actively involved in the efforts to repatriate stolen Nigerian assets abroad. This calculated exercise has seen the Commission engaging countries that are believed to be nests of stolen assets. Despite the modest impact that the Commission's enforcement efforts have recorded, the Commission is of the firm belief that law enforcement actions alone cannot win the war against corruption in Nigeria. To this extent, the EFCC gave a boost to its preventive mandate by creating various sensitization programs in order to educate and enlighten the public about the ills of corruption. Awareness roadworks are organized quarterly in order to draw more attention to the anti-graft fight. The Commission also airs anti-corruption programs on leading radio and television networks in Nigeria, even as the social media has been fully embraced as a vehicle for mobilization and information dissemination. Through its Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit, the EFCC has created various enlightenment programs for schools, youth, women groups, religious bodies, and other government agencies. And in a bid to draw more attention to the crusade, the Commission has also embraced the use of music by organizing musical concerts across the country. The Clean Hands campaign was also launched in Abuja and across other geopolitical zones. The program was designed to promote the values of integrity and probity among the younger generation. The Creative Youth Initiative was also unveiled in October 2016. The idea was conceived out of the need to give children a platform to express themselves using arts and various talents in order to speak against corruption. Women Against Corruption, also known as WAC, was added to the EFCC campaign strategy with the flag off of the program in Abuja by wife of the President, Hajia Aisha Buhari, in December 2016. The same program was rolled out in February 2017 in Lagos with wives of all the southwestern governors and notable society women present at the event. Other geopolitical zones are billed to follow soon. For its unrelenting efforts in championing the war against corruption in Nigeria, the EFCC has received several commendations both home and abroad. In August 2017, the EFCC was rated as the most effective government agency in Nigeria in a report conducted by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. The City People magazine, during its 20th City People Awards for Excellence, also recognized the Commission as the most effective government agency in the country for the year 2016. Magu was also honored with the 2016 Person of the Year award by Leadership newspapers. Indeed, slowly but steadily, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agencies within and outside the country. Global confidence has been restored as several donor organizations and foreign law enforcement agencies collaborate with the EFCC, which is opening fresh lines of partnership and collaboration. The EFCC has displayed that courage and dedicated leadership can bring an end to the menace of corruption in Nigeria. And going by the President Muhammadu Buhari's words, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill Nigeria. Let us all rise to this challenge.
Indeed, slowly but surely, the anti-graft agency is altering the narrative of criminal prosecution in Nigeria and setting a standard for law enforcement agency within and outside of the country. It is believed that all Nigerians will support the EFCC in its quest for a corrupt-free Nigeria. Please join the fight, as the responsibility is a collective one. And that's all we have for you on this episode of The Eagle. You too can be part of this program by sending your inquiries and suggestions to The Eagle at efccnigeria.org, or search for us on Google Plus at Official EFCC, Official EFCC NG at gmail.com. You can like our page on facebook.com/Official EFCC, or follow us on Twitter at Official EFCC. And of course, you can visit our Instagram page at Official EFCC. To watch our programs and other activities, please log on to youtube.com/Official EFCC. My name is Aisha Mohammed, hoping to see you next week. Always remember that a public office is a public trust, and do not abuse positions of trust for private gains. Goodbye, and God bless Nigeria.